Come up, come up, come up. 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 We're waiting for people to join. Waiting for people to join. We've just started. Come up, come up, come up. Let's discuss. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk. Shalom, shalom, my friend. Shalom, Sanet. Shalom, my friend. How are you? So, I'm not sure if any of you have been watching the news lately, or if you don't watch the news, but nonetheless. So, I just want to fix this camera angle here. If you see me doing that, there we go. Yep, it's the dash cam. Cool. So, thank you so much, Marks, for the kind message. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have know the group called Amerikaners. This group is a group that is obviously part of the Afrikaner people that are processing or sort of making migrating to the US easy for Afrikaner people. So the interesting thing was, you will remember that Ronald Lamola, including the South African government, right, have blocked the visa applications for the Kenyans who were supposed to come here and assist the US Embassy with processing applications for those that want to seek refugee status in the United States. You remember that story. Now, the interesting thing is, obviously, with that application being blocked, that people could not get their visas, they could not get, certain documents to come into South Africa from Kenya. That obviously did stifle a bit of the project a little bit. But tell you what, the US Embassy is on the money, and tomorrow morning I will be releasing a very detailed video on the story, but I will just touch on it briefly. The US Embassy has now partnered up with the Amerikaners, right? So the Amerikaners, basically, for those that don't know, it's a group, reportedly comprising South Africans planning to accept Donald Trump's resettlement offer. Now, understand this very well. The American State Department or the American Embassy realized the game that the South African government was playing. They realized that the South African government was trying to take them for pussies. And then they realized, okay, we cannot get Kenyans to, assist us in resettling the Afrikaners to the US. So what do? We go and get other South Africans to do the job. And kudos to the American Embassy for doing that. Really, kudos to them. It's something, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So obviously, with this partnership, coming in to place, this will obviously allow for the refugee program to start to speed up a little bit more. According to a statement the US Embassy released actually today, the Resettlement Support Center, which is RSC Africa, which is operated by CWS, the Church World Service. And if you remember, the Church World Service was the group of Kenyans, including the Amerikaners, right, have both been appointed designated Department of State referral partners. Now, this is huge. This is a huge, huge moment. Don't underplay this moment, because what this basically means is the US Department of State has now taken that authority of, giving the Kenyans, the rights to sort of process these applications, because remember, the government had blocked this. The South African government had blocked this. They've now taken that away. Let me not say they've taken that away from the Kenyans. What they've actually done was to split out the roles between the Kenyans and Afrikaner organizations such as the Amerikaners. So the interesting thing is, the US State Department has actually put the future of Afrikaners into the hands of the Afrikaners, which is a very, very interesting way to look at it, right? And I, for one, do support it, because for me, I think that was the best thing, that There were so many organizations that could do this, such as AfriForum, such as Solidariteit, such as um, the South African Agricultural Institute, for those that don't know what SAI stands for. There were so many organizations that could facilitate this, and I think it was a good move from the US State Department to sort of get at our government or the South African government by basically saying, okay, if you're not going to give our employees visas to come and process the refugee program, we will rather take those that are interested in the refugee program. We'll rather take them and say, you come and facilitate your own process. Speak about giving power to the people. That's what the US is actually doing. It's saying, okay, you know what? The South African government has stopped us, but now we're going to give power back to you, the people that want to move to the US. Now, this means that they will gather information from potential applicants to assess whether they are eligible for referral to the US Refugee Admissions Program, which is, and refer cases to the Department of State US Refugee Admission Program for access, right? So, and this is a very, very, very important thing. And the interesting thing is, Ronald Lamola, the Minister of International Relations, has come out to say that Pretoria has got no place in assisting the US in implementing Apartheid 2.0. Now, obviously, I don't agree with this fool. I don't want to lie to you. I don't agree with him. It's rubbish what Ronald Lamola is saying. And he said two things that were utter rubbish today. He mentioned Apartheid 2.0 and said that the South African government assisting the US administration with processing Afrikaner refugee status is basically supporting Apartheid 2.0. That's what he said. And then the second thing that he said, which was utter garbage, was that DIRCO will still be pushing on the Israel-Palestine ICJ case. Now, hence I've said in one of our last lives, I said, sometimes you ask yourself, do these people consult with each other? Because, what's his name? Park Tao, the Minister of Trade and Enterprise, of DTIC rather, he sent out an investment package to the United States. That's what he did. And then here we go, you've got Lamola, who thinks he's smart by, number one, mocking the Afrikaner refugee program from the US, and secondly, saying that the government will pursue this case of the ICJ against Israel. But that aside, the interesting thing is the Amerikaners, this new, or not the new group, but this group that has been given the rights to facilitate this program of the refugee status, they will arrange for medical exams. They will also book travel to the United States for people, as well as do or schedule interviews, So this is, what do you call it? This is basically giving power right back into the people. So this has actually caught the government off guard. It has really caught the South African government off guard, because in their minds, they never imagined that the US would pull such. And boom, the US pulled the lethal card, which was just get the South Africans to liberate themselves, which is what we've always been doing. We've been doing it from the beginning, and we've been doing it till now, from the days of the Union to the days of apartheid to the days of democracy. We liberate ourselves. We don't need the government to intervene. Hence, the South African government is very angry. But I'm so glad that the US government is coming out very strongly against the South African government. And I'm telling you, Mr. Ronald Lamola should be waiting for a strongly worded letter coming from the US after what he had to say today. He should be waiting for a very strongly worded letter, because he had a lot of negative stuff to say about the US, about the Afrikaners. And if I have to be honest, right? If I'm an Afrikaner and every day I'm listening to songs like Kill the Boer from racist tyrants like Julius Malema, and listening to songs like Dubuli Bunu, one bullet, one settler. Do I feel safe in South Africa? No. But then the South African government calls Afrikaners cowards for moving to America. And you know what's the funny thing? Was the same ANC that calls Afrikaner cowards for moving to America is the same ANC that went to exile during apartheid. It's the same group of thieves, the same crop of crooks that went to exile during apartheid. Where were they? Was Oliver Tambo sitting somewhere in Soweto? Nay. He was in London. Where were all of these future crooks? Because back then they were not crooks, but they were, a bunch of communists. But where were they? They were overseas in exile. They were not here facing the music. So when you call Afrikaners cowards, look at yourselves, you domkops. Look at yourselves, you dompooses, for what you're saying. It does not make sense. Whenever someone is attacked for any reason, you are bound to leave that area. You are bound to pack your bags and say, where's my bag? And let me go. There is no reason for me to stay here. There is no economically friendly opportunities in South Africa. All the doors are getting closed. But no, we will be the first to call Afrikaners cowards. That's what the ANC knows. It's name calling them cowards. And then when a journalist from the ENCA says to Mahlengu Bengu that, she ate a sandwich and she ate 2 sandwiches, I hope that she's full, which was clearly a joke. I got it as a joke. For me, it's still a joke, and I won't change from that. I'm not scared. Even if they want to come and challenge me, they can. When Mahlengu Bengu raised that issue that, this is shaming someone, this is prejudice against black women. Mind you, this journalist never said anything about black or white people. He just made a joke to say this person ate food. And look at how sensitive the ANC became. But they are very quick to call Afrikaners cowards. They are very quick to blame everything on apartheid. Anything. For the ANC, a poor black child is because of apartheid. It's not because of them. It's not because of BEE. It's not because of God knows whatever. It's because of apartheid for them. Everything. We're going to blame, I'll list the 3 that they blame. It's white monopoly capitalism. It's blaming the West. And if it's not blaming those 2, it's blaming apartheid. They never for one say, guys, gosh, we are the ones that are actually doing rubbish. And then you've got the classical politicians, right? And please, I'm going to need someone to record what I'm about to say, because what I'm about to say is going to be very important. And I think someone needs to call it out. Someone really needs to call it out. So you've got these classical politicians like your Julius Malemas of the world, right? Who keep telling black South Africans, we need to go and reclaim the land. We need to be against the US. Look at this and that. Look at capitalism. You are poor today because of capitalism. Lies. You've got a job because of capitalism, or you're unemployed because of BEE and communism. But hold that aside. Let me not digress. But there's this big lie that gets peddled, right? And it's linked to the US story, right? It's a big lie that gets peddled. And that is on things of, we need to get back what white people stole from black people. There's that notion that we need, in order for you to be middle class in South Africa, you need to have a double-story house, you need to have a maid, you need to have a cleaner, you need to have a gardener and all that stuff, That is supposedly middle class. Now, I'm going to explain this as a very rational South African, and I'm speaking to black South Africans, and I hope they hear this and hear me very well. Understand this very well. Many people who own double stories, right, especially from the olden days, those are legacy houses a house that was maybe passed down from generation to generation. It's not as if someone just, boom, bam, smack today that was bought and that is now the standard of wealth. And just keep with me, because what I'm about to say is complicated but makes sense. Now understand me. There is this notion that, okay, the apartheid economy only worked for white people. That notion is there, and I'm not going to argue that notion. But what I'm going to say to people is, it is wrong for us to pin wealth or to pin living a good life to the standards of how people were living in apartheid. We need to understand that people in Singapore, right, successful countries out there, Singapore, Hong Kong, the list goes on, they do not own houses. People live in high-rise buildings because property is expensive. So this lie that you will get land and you will build a house it's not factual. It's economically impossible. Not all economies function like the American economy. And what do I mean by that? And understand me very well. The American economy, one is still able to be a plumber, but own and live a very successful life. As in you're able to take your kid to college and all sorts. But you can't do that in South Africa. And I'm using a plumber as an example. I'm not just an example. Now, that's the same for a country like Singapore or for Hong Kong. The list goes on. The problem is, in South Africa, there's this notion or there's this lie that people are peddling that everyone, in order for you to live a good life, you must have your own yard, you must have your own land, you must, own 2 cars, you must have a maid, you must have that. That is not the standard of wealth in today's economy and global economy. It's not. People need to understand that. And the thing is, this thing has affected mainly black people so much, and I'm going to explain what I mean when I say mainly black people so much. As in, the government has started to build, or they've been building RDPs. And RDPs, by virtue of them being government subsidized housing, they are very worthless. They carry zero value. As in, what do I mean? An RDP can be sold for less than 200,000 rand. That is not value for money. It's not at all. That means what? And that also affects the property to GDP ratio in South Africa. As in, if you look at our property percentage, our property market percentage, it's way lower than that of China. And trust me, the Chinese don't have houses, right? They don't have houses like mansions. They don't have, these super mega houses in estates where comrades live. No, that does not exist. What happens is people live in high-rise buildings. Now, if we as a country can start to get used to the mindset that the days of building houses has actually come and gone, that time has passed us. And people actually realize that the building itself, carries more value. That does a lot to the property market in the country. Now, I don't want to go too deep into that because, this was actually not meant to be on that. What I wanted to explain was this lie that just keeps on being peddled about people getting land. Recently, the city of Tshwane said that they are going to use the Expropriation Act. That's what the city of Tshwane said. Those thugs in the city of Tshwane, led by Nasipi Mayor, led by Eugene Bonzo Mudise, the deputy mayor of Tshwane, have said they are going to use the, they are going to use the Expropriation Act. Now, I just want to share my screen with you because there's something very interesting here. And you guys will be shocked when I share this with you because this is going to surprise the yellow lot of you about the city of Tshwane. And many of you will know very well that I love the city of Tshwane and I love speaking about it. And I think, is this the slide? I'll tell you now if it is indeed the slide. Okay, so please look at this. I've compiled this slide. This is basically, I've compared Cilliers Brink to Nasipi Mayo, or Moya. Now, many of you don't know that Nasipi Moya is a very dodgy person. Did you know that she was overpaid 270,000 rand? Did you know that? That she was overpaid 270,000 rand. And yet, Action SA make it seem as if they've got clean governance going on. I just want to expose some of these things. She was overpaid, and she is still, I mind you, which I must actually get the documents for you in tomorrow's video. She has still not made a payment arrangement to pay back the 270,000 rand that she was overpaid by the municipality. And then, let's check. And mind you, this is a black mayor, right? Because according to the ANC, Action SA, and the EFF, if you've got black leadership, they somehow love black people. So let's go through this. 270,000 rand. I wonder, did HR make a mistake in the payments, or was it the accountants? What happened? And then next point, I was there during this time. 10,000 rand Saudi trip allowance. So the interesting part about the Saudi trip allowance was she, in this Saudi trip allowance, got 10,000 rand, right, to go to Saudi on top of her salary. This was basically, for her to spend while she's in Saudi. Obviously, the municipality pays for other things like hotels, transportation. It was just for her to sort of, spoil herself whenever, or buy herself Coke. But the interesting thing was, she did not even go to Saudi Arabia. She did not go to Saudi Arabia at all. She didn't. And let alone not going to Saudi Arabia, she did not give back the money on time to the municipality. She didn't. She only paid it back recently. And then the third point, let's speak about rates and tariffs that have increased. For those of you who don't know, and mind you, I'm going to be highlighting many key points here because I'm on the money when it comes to municipalities and government and how these organizations function. So there's a community, Kleinfontein, and I've been hammering on this, and I've been fighting for Kleinfontein's cause. For those of you who know me, I fight for Kleinfontein. And I've mentioned before, Kleinfontein as a community had rates, as a community I highlight, had rates that totaled 50,000 rand, right? They totaled 50,000 rand. And then, recently, because of the racist Action SA, they increased it, the community's rates, from 50,000 rand to 2 million rand. Imagine that it happened overnight. One day, as a community, our rates were 50,000. And then, oh gosh, somehow the comrades think we've got 2 million. Somehow, we've got extra spare change. It's just another 10 rand. No, they want the community to pay 2 million rand. Imagine. And then they said, okay, because you guys, are arguing about this 2 million rand payment, and there was also a particular issue, but it was a small issue of documentation that had happened for Kleinfontein. They want to demolish Kleinfontein. They want to take bulldozers. And I kid you not, you'll think I'm exaggerating, because I know many people think I love to exaggerate and, I love using hyperboles. And no, I'm not. This is the one time I'm actually being serious. Okay, not actually being serious. It's not the one time, but it's one of those points where I'm actually being serious. They want to bulldoze Kleinfontein. They want to get there and destroy Kleinfontein. Hence, this issue's in court. So don't take this thing lightly. And I told you guys, I will be raising this issue day in and day out. Another thing is, during Nasipi's tenure as she is mayor, there's been a rise, there's been a huge surge of homelessness. I won't go too deep into that. Hammanskraal water is still unsafe. Today, the residents of Hammanskraal, who happen to be black people, whom Herman Mashaba said he was going to prioritize. Remember, he said he was going to prioritize black South Africans. They went to town today to go and protest that we don't have water. Speak about a black government, because I'm going to call them by what they call themselves. I'm not the racist, please. I'm not the racist, but I'm going to call them by what they call themselves, the black government. Speak about a black government failing black people, and then going to blame apartheid and going to blame this on that. I mean, imagine, guys, it's 2025, And people are still blaming things on Hendrik Verwoerd. Mind you, Hendrik Verwoerd did not do much that was really terrible to South Africa's economy. You can go and check. It's the painful truth that people won't accept. But he didn't. Now, let's continue. I spoke about the plans for expropriation of buildings. The city of Tshwane wants to expropriate buildings. They want to expropriate buildings. They have said that they're going to take back, abandoned buildings. Okay, cool, fine. These are buildings that they purposely allowed to decay. They're allowed for brothels to harbor in these buildings. They allowed for these buildings to become drug dens. Now they want to use Expropriation Act. That's what they want to do. They want to use the Expropriation Act. And don't think that it ends there, my fellow South Africans. Don't think that it ends there. These people are going to come for your farms. They are going to come for our homes. They will come for our businesses. They will come for our ideas. That's what the greedy comrades do. And black South Africans, don't be fooled and think that it ends with white South Africans. No, they will come for black people as well. They'll be taking from your land as well. And then, look at that. One of the other points which was first raised on this channel. Gosh, every time I look back at this channel, I think to myself, we've broken a couple of stories here. And that is due to your support, guys. You guys don't understand by watching this channel, just by watching, how much it does to creating awareness. And we spoke about the Iranian embassy links. This thing was started, this story was peddled by three, and I'll tell you the three. It was peddled by News 24. It was peddled by us at 10 Minutes with Kuhle, and you'll remember very well. And it was peddled by the Democratic Alliance, that we pushed for this thing to be exposed. And it has been exposed. That Herman Mashaba, that the ANC, that all these greedy crooks are twerking for the Ayatollahs. That's what they're doing. They want Persian oil. They want that money. But not to worry, for as long as there are people as honest as us, that we will make sure that that does not happen. And I don't need to go too much into Silas Brink's record. But Silas Brink's record speaks for itself. A white mayor who upgraded roads in Mamelodi. Accept the truth. A white mayor who took action on Hammanskraal's water crisis. He cut illegal electricity connections. He cut council catering. Did you know this? That council catering was cut to save money. Many people don't know that usually in various councils, provincial legislatures and parliament, there's usually catering that goes out. Now, interestingly enough, the city of Johannesburg spends about 1 million rand on catering. Just in case you didn't know. They spend about 1 million rand per event. Not once off. Not once in the financial year. They spend per council session close to 1 million rand on catering. Same as the city of eThekwini, which is Durban. That is how much is being spent. That is how much of taxpayer money is being spent to feed people that are at work. Imagine, this is to feed people that are at work. You're at work and we're paying for you to be fed. How ridiculous can this country get? We're paying people to actually go to work. You can't make this up. And then if you think it ends there, we should actually get this saga white paper. There's this council white paper just to show you what the ANC has done, the mismanagement of funds with your taxpayer money. Do you know that councillors are able to apply to get back money that they've spent on petrol? Did you know that councillors get up to 3,500 a month extra on top of their salary for cell phone allowance? So they can get a cell phone for 200 rand a month at Vodacom and keep the other 3.3. Imagine this, guys. They even get money every month for Wi-Fi and data, which is close to 500 rand. These are the greedy comrades. These are the thugs. This is where the money is being wasted. And this happens right across the country. Imagine, there are over 8,000 councillors who earn a middle class salary, meaning they earn in excess of 600,000 rand as their net salary just by itself. We're not counting the additions like home allowance. We're not counting the fact that they've got free insurance. We're not counting medical aid. We're not counting all the other many benefits. We're not counting SALGA meetings. Do you know that for them to go to meetings, community meetings, they get paid an extra 1,200 for each community, for all these meetings that they go to? To go to a meeting, they get paid another 1.2. So basically, if you look at this, we are paying the comrades to do their jobs. If it's up to me, I'll be very clear with you. Cut, cut, cut. Cut, cut, cut. I'm saying we need to cut the size of government. We need to cut all these people. Do you know that in America, the New York City Council has got fewer than 50 councillors? And in Johannesburg, we've got 270 city councillors. How are we supposed to grow the economy when we are creating jobs for powers? It's impossible, because everyone wants a position. Everyone wants a job. People don't want to go and study and go and look for a normal job. Everyone wants to become a politician. Everyone wants to be a comrade. It's the sleek thing to do. I'm saying we need to cut the size of this bloated government. Leave the cabinet alone. The cabinet on its own is already bloated. We need to cut the size of all spheres of government. Cut the number of municipalities that we have. We need to ensure that the private sector starts to participate actively in governance. And what do I mean? We need to strip government of certain powers, like providing electricity. Eskom does crap as it is. They don't need to provide electricity. So I'm just reading a comment here that is coming up. Okay, now I just wanted to get where this comment was going to. But we need to strip the powers from government. We need to do that. It's ridiculous if you know where spending is going to, guys. I've seen this thing with my eyes, and I don't think people understand it. I don't think. Did you know that bodyguards in municipalities, they get an extra 15,000 rand per quarter to go and buy clothes? Did you know that? You will think I'm joking. They get an extra 15,000 rand per quarter to go and buy clothes on top of their salaries. These are bodyguards in municipalities. I need to go and check what happens at national government. Imagine if this is happening in your small dorpy. What is happening in national government? We South Africans are a country faced with so much poverty. There is sky-high inflation. Do you know that on average, your salary from 1994 to 2025 has only increased by 96%? Do you know that? It is well below inflation. Do you know that petrol in the last 3 years has increased by close to 300%? Electricity in the last 2 years has increased by 450%. Do you know that? It's ludicrous what's going on. And then we've got a government that is so, oblivious. They are not here. They are like an ostrich in the sand. They don't realize the struggles of the South Africans. They don't realize the struggles of the people. They are buildings. When we drive around the CBD, especially in Johannesburg, there are so many to-let buildings. Foreigners have taken over from South Africans. They run businesses. South Africans don't have a space in the economy. Farmers are leaving South Africa. They are moving to Australia. They are moving to the US because of racism, because of farm murders, because of all these ridiculous, wrong things that are not being condoned by Ramaphosa. Because of all of that, they are leaving. They are pulling out. A country without a farmer is a country without a future. Therefore, I urge South Africans, please, my fellow countrymen, do not be fooled by these crooks. Do not be fooled by the comrades. It is us, both black and white, that carry the light to build a brighter future for our future descendants. It is us. It is not the politicians. We cannot look to the ANC for an answer. We cannot look to the ANC for a messiah, because if we look there, we will keep on looking till Jesus returns. Because those guys have got zero care about what goes on. They've got zero care about the farmers being killed. They've got zero care about the children in the Eastern Cape that go in barrels across rivers. They've got zero care about the grannies who don't receive their pensions. They've got zero care about young people that are unemployed. 7 in 10 young people are unemployed. They've got zero care. They've got zero care about the fact that they run a bloated government. They've got zero care about killing trade relations. They've got zero care about the country's Judeo-Christian values. They would rather side with people that don't believe in democracy. They would rather side with a group of Islamists than side with what the people of the country believe in. They've got zero care. They care about their stomachs. They care about slay queens. They care about drinking verve, buying pointy shoes, driving in German sedans that are not even owned by them. They are owned by the state, bought with our money, with our hard-paying taxpayer funds. That is what they do with our money. They've got zero care. They don't give a damn what's got to happen. Julius Malema, that evil, evil man who sang Kill the Poor, and I keep emphasizing on this. He sang Kill the Poor, and people said this was just a struggle song. You know, it's a bunch of people remembering the struggle. 24 hours later, farmers were killed after he sang it at the FNB Stadium. 24 hours later. And the interesting thing was, nothing was stolen when those farmers were killed. They were only brutally murdered. Just to show that this was not even about theft. This was about hate. This was about hate that is spewed from the politicians. This is about not seeing fellow white South Africans as countrymen. This is about not seeing poor people as countrymen. This is what they want. Have you guys looked at that manifesto of Floyd Shivambu's, that Africa whatever Mayibuye movement rubbish? Do you know that manifesto attacks white people through and through? Do you know that? And I'm going to challenge that manifesto. I promise you, I will challenge it. And I've said it before. Everything that I say I challenge, I will challenge. And I come back and I give you guys results. I will challenge that manifesto because it's a manifesto that seeks to divide South Africans. It's a manifesto that is against unity. It's a manifesto that is against progress. It is the same old rubbish the ANC has been doing for 35 years. The only thing the ANC know what to do is to destroy, is to steal. The ANC is the equivalent to the devil. That is what they are. They are the equivalent to the devil. They hate black people so much that they don't mind enticing black people with 370 rand a month and say this is your grant. That's how much they hate black people. Do you know during apartheid, black people had jobs? That's what I keep telling people. Don't be fooled by these thieves. The apartheid government loved black people more than the ANC. And I will stand by that. Even if people can come and call me all sorts of names, it's true. People during then were working. People now are unemployed. People now are so racist. People now are so divisive. We've got a generation of white South Africans that don't see a future in South Africa. They don't see a future for themselves in South Africa because all doors of opportunity are shut. There is no way to prosper if if you don't have enough melanin. There is no way to prosper in South Africa because you've got an evil ANC. And same for black people. There is no way to prosper as a black person unless you are linked to the thieving comrades, unless you are linked to the thieving politicians, those that steal using tender money, those that increase rates and taxes on minority communities, and then they scrap rates and taxes on the townships. That's the funniest thing. They are ready. The comrades are ready, and they've done it before. Not that I'm being superlative or I'm trying to, hype you up. They have increased rates, they've increased taxes, truth be told, on white communities. And then when it's time for elections, let us scrap Soweto's debt. That's the best thing to do. Let us scrap Soweto's debt. That is their style. That is the style of the greedy comrades. They will make you pay for their sins. You are paying for their sins. And it's high time that we stop this. We cannot run a country like this. We cannot run a country like this. And we need more oppositions to come up within the GNU. It cannot only be the DA and the VF Plus that are an opposition within the GNU. Thank you so much, Philip Mayer, for the kind word. Fantastic podcast. I thank you so much. Thank you, Cherry. And billions are lost in tax from the taxes. So true. So true. They just steal. That's what they do. That's what they know how to do. They are so good at it. Every time they can grab their hands onto something, they will steal. Today, Tshwane just got pledged 16 billion rand in investment. All right, this new ANC administration, 16 billion rand in investment. How much of that 16 billion is going to go into fixing the city? I promise you very little, because they will steal. Today, Tshwane House, which is the headquarters of Pretoria's municipality, is filled with comrades walking up and down. It's said that George Machila is actually the real mayor, who's the ANC guy. He's the ANC secretary. It's said that dodgy deals just happen. They are the ones walking up and down, up and down, up and down. Same as the city of Johannesburg. Same as them. Filled with dodgy characters. It's unsustainable. South Africa's economy is bound to crash because we, the people, are not standing up. We need to stand up. We need to defend our home. Our country has been through too much for us to let go right now. From the days of the Cape Colony to Natal, to the Transkei, to the Transvaal, to the Ciskei, to Griqualand, from those iconic days to the Union of South Africa, then to the Republic, our country has fought. Our country has survived. Our country has persevered. Now come in democracy, and the comrades have decided that we'll turn this into a banana republic. But I say no. I say no. We cannot allow that to happen. Our country has been through too much for us to let it go right now. We need to fight. We need to hold arms, both white and black. We need to defend our country. We are the countrymen who are going to look after South Africa. This is our country. The politicians have got bank accounts overseas. They've got houses in other countries. We are the countrymen that only have South Africa. Many Afrikaners when they leave, especially with this Afrikaner program to the US. I remember a gentleman saying, I was watching the documentary, he says, when I left South Africa to take up Trump's offer to the US, I got there and I started with nothing. I started with nothing. Understand that. But the politicians, even when this place blows up, they won't start with nothing because they've got offshore accounts in Dubai. They've got offshore accounts in these other places, in the Saudis of the world, in the Singapores of the world. They don't trade in rands. They don't trade in Chinese yen. They don't trade in Russian rubles. They trade in dollars, and they fool the majority, being the black South Africans. Shame on them. Shame on them. To my fellow countrymen, this is a cause worth dying for. We have to fight for this country. Every time I look at South Africa, I become very emotional. For me, South Africa means too much to let go. South Africa means too much to me to let go. When I look at young white South Africans, I see South Africans. When I look at young black South Africans, I see South Africans. But the interesting thing is, despite the racial tensions that divide us, there is one thing that unites us, and that is our desperation for good leadership. That is it. It is our desperation for good leadership. God, we're not asking for too much. We're asking for servants that are ready to be servants of God. Servants that are ready to serve people. Servants that are ready to stand for the truth. Servants that are ready to be there for all South Africans. That is what we need. That is why people like Mkhwanazi become heroes. Because we lack a hero. We lack a South African hero. There is no hero in the story. We've just got drama after drama. We've got crime after crime. We've got bad story after bad story. Children getting kidnapped. The Jocelyn Smiths of this world. It's so unfortunate. That case is still not solved till today. We've got children, white children, that can't access tertiary education because of the red tape that varsities have to go through. You've got black children that are being lied to. You've got black children going in barrels to cross rivers in the Eastern Cape. We lack a hero in South Africa. Cry, countrymen, oh cry. It is such a sad story when we look at this country. A country that is tearing apart. A country that is losing its values. We are losing our values day in and day out. And I become so heartbroken when I look at this country. We are losing our values. We lack the South African dream. We lack the South African dream. We don't have dreams. We only have problems. We don't know how to get ourselves out of these problems. We need the South African dream. This country needs to function like a business. This country needs a South African dream that unites everyone, that scraps communism, that lets people focus on prosperity, because prosperity is the key to success. The Singaporeans understood this. The people from Hong Kong, the Chinese understood this. Many people died for this country, both black and white. Young Afrikaner men died when they were forced to go to the military, when they were forced to go and fight in Angola, when they were forced to fight against, communism versus capitalism. Those were young Afrikaner men that died. Young people in the 1976 Soweto uprising died for this country. Many people have died. So much blood has been spilt for this country. And this is the crop of leadership we have. They don't have shame. They don't have shame. Cry, oh beloved country, because I nearly lost hope. But I know somewhere inside all South Africans, there is that fire burning. There is that fire that we can turn this country around. They are those servants who are ready to serve this country, both black and white, because we will be our own saviors. Let us not wait for the comrades. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are the people that we have been waiting for. And as soon as we understand that, the better for all of us. Nikita, you are right. We can do it together. Together we stand, divided we fall. Together we conquer, divided we fall. You know, the Springboks are a true definition of what unity does to a country. A country that is able, a team, the Springboks, a team that is able to look across racial lines, a team that scraps this thing of equity, this thing of we need X, Y, Z amount of black people. It just cuts all of that. No. We take you based on talent. And when you get here, we are a team. You're not a white Springbok. You're not a black Springbok. You are playing for the Springboks for South Africa. It's a team that wins 2 World Cups in a row. It's a team that is going to win the 2027 World Cup in Australia because they are united. A team that understands that we are a team. We are not a white team. We are not a black team. We are the South African team. I would like to urge you, my countrymen, we are South African before we are Afrikaans, before we are Zulu, before we are Xhosa, before we are whatever. We are South Africans first. We are South Africans before any race. We are South Africans. And let us not let these evil, conniving, and stealing politicians deprive that from us. Because that is our identity. We shall stand together. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. God bless South Africa, for her people know what suffering is, but for her people know how to conquer any challenge. From the Great Trek, from the rivers of Natal, to the seas of the Eastern Cape, to the farms of the Free State, to the metropolitan of Johannesburg, to the Kruger, to the north in Limpopo, we shall conquer, because this is a country that we shall fight for. It is our country. It is our home. Let us not let these politicians divide us. I thank you.